Hi everybody. We got cut off by time in the last part, so I'll just continue where I left off from part 4. So we left off by finding these shared keys, and when I first learned this, it blew my mind, and I just did not know what happened before. Like I was following along, and then this happened, and I was like, wow. So I wanted to break this down and explain how these are the same calculations. So let's first take a look at what Bob did, right? So Bob, Bob took the 12 he received from Jan, right? He took the 12, and that 12 was calculated like this, if you remember from the previous lecture. So that was calculated like that. So his calculation was actually the same as this. He did this, right? So he took his 12, which is congruent to this, and then he raised it to the 15th, and that was what his calculation was. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how it is the same as this guy, which is what Jan calculated. So Jan, this 6 that she used, that she received from Bob, was calculated like this. If you remember from the previous part. So this calculation is the same as 3 to the 15th to the 13th mod 17. And so we can see that this is essentially the same, this should be a 13 raised to the 15 mod 17. This is the same calculation. The only difference is that the exponents are in a different place. And that doesn't really matter because it'll work out to the same thing. Also note how Eve cannot find this solution because she doesn't have the private numbers 15 and 13. She's only dealing with 6 and 12. Awesome, guys. So we just completed the explanation. I wanted to give you further tips. What color should we use? Red is pretty alarming, but looks like the only color I have left. Further suggestions, rather, for research, further research. These are just some cool things I came across that I would suggest looking up. First, I really hope I'm spelling this right, is the Ulam spiral. Mathematicians still can't figure this out, but basically it is a way to organize prime numbers in a spiral, and it forms this really cool pattern. If you want to look it up in Google Images first, it's super, super cool. That's called the Ulam spiral. Next, I would suggest heading over to the Wikipedia page, and I read here that, do I have enough time? Yeah, I have about a minute. I read that it is used, the Diffie-Hellman is used to secure a variety of internet services. However, research published in 2015 suggests that this might not be a strong enough protocol. So I do recommend looking that up. And if you really, really enjoyed this topic, it seems like the next great thing or next really beneficial thing to learn would be RSA, because it says here the method was followed shortly afterwards by RSA. Thanks guys for listening, and I hope you learned something today.